had that feeling like you're just a little out of sync with everyone else? Not in a good way or a bad way, just strangely different? Well, today we're going to dive into the psychology behind that exact feeling and what it might really mean. Man, that quote just hits you, right? It totally nails that quiet, persistent feeling of being just a little out of step with the rest of the world. The thing is, you're not trying to be different, you just are. And for the longest time, you probably haven't had a clue why. It really is like seeing the world in a slightly different color, isn't it? Or maybe hearing a sound that no one else seems to notice. You just experience things with a whole different level of intensity. But what if that feeling isn't just some random personality quirk? What if it's a clue to something way deeper? To figure that out, we've got to tackle the biggest hurdle first. Yeah, to really get to the heart of this, we first have to absolutely tear down a myth. A really, really stubborn idea of what it even means to be gifted. I mean, you know the stereotype. We've all seen it in the movies, right? The child prodigy who just aces every single test without even trying. It's a cool story for sure, but here's the thing. For most people, that's all it is, a story. And honestly, it's a really misleading one. Because for the vast majority of people, giftedness doesn't look anything like that. And by holding on to this old stereotype, we don't just miss seeing it in other people, and this is the crucial part, we might fail to see it in ourselves. So, if it's not the straight A trophy-winning kid, then what does it actually look like? Well, it turns out the real signs are often a lot quieter. They're kind of hiding in plain sight as traits we might not even think twice about. Okay, so take a look at these. They seem pretty normal, right? But let's dig in. First up, deep curiosity. We're not just talking about asking why. This is that insatiable need to take things apart just to see how they really tick. Then there's overthinking. And it's not just worrying. It's like your mind is constantly running simulations, exploring every single possibility of a situation. Then we have intense emotions. Some psychologists call this an overexcitability. It means you feel everything, the good and the bad, on a way, way deeper level. And finally, that persistent feeling of being out of place, which a lot of the time just comes from seeing a completely different puzzle than everyone around you.
And that right there is the whole point. We get told our whole lives that we're too sensitive, or we think too much, or we're just weird. But what if those labels are totally wrong? What if they're just descriptions of a mind that's simply wired differently?
So this is it. This is the big question, isn't it? What if we've been looking at these traits all wrong? What if we've been taught our whole lives to see our greatest assets as our biggest problems?
This is where we need to just completely flip the script. Let's take those exact same traits we just went over and look at them through a brand new lens. Okay, let's break this down. That overthinking you do, that's not a flaw. That's the engine for deep analysis and complex problem solving. That emotional intensity you were told to tone down, that's the source of incredible empathy and a super rich inner world. And that constant feeling of being out of place, well, that's what gives you a unique perspective. It's the very foundation of creativity and innovation. You see things differently because you're standing somewhere else.
And let's be absolutely crystal clear here. This is not about being better or smarter than anyone else. It's about accuracy. It's about finally getting the right user manual for your own brain so you can stop trying to force it to work in a way it was never built for. It's really about self-acceptance.
Okay, so we've busted the myth and we've reframed the signs. There's really only one question left. What if this is you? What does all this actually mean for your life, right now?
This is probably the most powerful part of it all, because once you get this, it can completely change your personal story. All those moments of feeling awkward or getting frustrated at school or just feeling like an outsider, suddenly they can make sense. They weren't signs that something was wrong with you, just signs that something was different about you. You can shift from a story of what's wrong with me to a story of unrecognized potential. So this is the question I really want to leave you with. What would change for you? How would you move through the world differently if you stopped seeing these things as burdens and instead started seeing them as the core features of your own personal operating system? What could you build with these gifts? Now that is something worth thinking about.